The story begins with us learning that before the end of the world, Jake was considered the world's greatest treasure hunter. Any old or long-lost item, he would always find it one way or another. He loved hunting for treasure underwater the most. He only did things his own way. He did not like dancing to anyone else's tune. Then one day, a dangerous solar flare destroyed all the world's technology. In one blow, all electricity-powered things were ruined. Because of this, millions of people lost their jobs. Panic spread everywhere. Even the biggest countries saw their governments fall, and in different places, very rich people started ruling because they had guns and people to use them. Slowly, in big cities, people started dying of hunger. Except for a few precious things, having money or not having it was completely useless. Various diseases spread, hospitals were shut down, and even medicine-making machines were broken. 6 years after this event, we see Jake in England. He was still working as a treasure hunter. He cautiously went to an old area, looked around for a bit, then entered a hotel and went up the stairs to the penthouse. There was a large bookshelf there, which he examined carefully and found a hidden room behind it. Jake immediately placed small bombs and blew open the steel door. He connected his battery to get some light. There was a safe that needed a key and a password. Jake saw the fingerprints on the key and by writing all the letters in his copy, guessed the correct password. Upon opening the safe, he found old music records. He played the record whose name was the password. As soon as the music started playing, a second hidden safe opened. After that, Jake took out an expensive violin from it. Just then, some thugs dressed in police uniforms burst in and started demanding the violin from Jake. Jake refused and threatened that if they took one step forward, none of them would leave this place alive. But the thugs still attacked him. Jake immediately started firing. He started killing them one by one. When the gun ran out of bullets, he used his fists and kept fighting the thugs. When the bullets ran out, he threw a blade into the back of a man trying to run. The leader caught the blade and started thinking he was very cool. Then Jake showed him his middle finger, gestured "Tata bye-bye," and immediately a bomb in that blade exploded. After that, the leader of the thugs was also killed. Some time later, Jake went to a large mansion which had now become a factory, and there were many guards there. He gave that violin to a warlord's assistant. He said, "King August wants to give you another job." Jake found it very strange that this warlord was calling himself a king. He refused because for this job he would have to cross the sea to another country. No one knew what the situation was there. When August heard that Jake had refused, he told his assistant to give him an offer he couldn't refuse. After this, Jake returned to his home. At his home, there was a broken boat. He had set up various traps at his house so no one could sneak in, and he also fed his dog. Then he checked his payment, which contained some food, some items, and a record. He played the record and fell asleep while eating and drinking. At night, he dreamed that he was traveling the world in a new boat. In the morning, he woke up to a sound. He went outside and saw a soldier trapped in his trap. The soldier said, "The king wants to meet you." Jake didn't free him and went straight to meet the king. In a warehouse, August was waiting for him with his soldiers. He said, "You're not the first. I've tried getting work done for many people, but no one has the skill to find things like you do." He also said that he was trying to build a new system so things could become a bit normal like before. But Jake still wasn't particularly interested in doing his job. Then August explained that if the job was completed, he would get a new boat. "That's what you want, right? Actually, the mission is to deliver the Mona Lisa painting to him. It's kept in a basement in an unknown place." When Paris was attacked, the government hid its entire treasure there. August said he was ready to give Jake all the help, food, and everything he needed. "You just have to complete this mission at any cost." Lured by the boat, Jake agreed. He handed his dog over to August's assistant, saying, "If I don't return, please take care of him." Jake was calm at first, but as soon as he reached the airport, he became very worried because their plane already had bullet holes in it. August showed Jake a map and explained the entire route. Where enemies were lurking, where there was peace, he told everything. August also told him that in the center of Paris City, his man would meet him. "Just reach there. He will guide you further. As soon as you get the Mona Lisa within 3 hours, I'll arrange to get you out of there." In the evening, Jake boarded the plane. The pilot was quite young and said everything was fine, don't worry, but Jake could see there was something wrong with the plane. It wasn't flying properly. After a while, the pilot said, "Look, our fuel is leaking a bit, so we'll have to jump with a parachute on the way." Hearing this, poor Jake panicked. He said, "Bro, I've never jumped with a parachute before. How do you use it?" But the pilot was busy, couldn't help much. After a while, Jake fell asleep and had a dream. He was in the boat again, and this time there was a girl with him. Suddenly, the plane started shaking violently, and Jake woke up. They were under attack. The pilot was trying desperately to save the plane, but he said, "We'll have to jump a bit earlier than planned." Seeing a somewhat okay spot, Jake quickly jumped and opened his parachute. When he landed, his landing wasn't very good. He started moving forward, but fire was burning everywhere around him. He saw that some people who were fighting against the local warlord there had been killed and hung to scare everyone else. Just then, a tank came there, breaking through a building. He took aim at it, but before that, a missile blew up the tank. Some rebels came and opened the tank's hatch, threw a grenade inside, killing the soldiers inside too. But they didn't say anything to Jake and quietly left. Inside the city, Warlord Volkov's men were terrorizing common people. Volkov was a very dangerous and evil man. He loved playing chess because with its help, he learned different strategies. Anyone who became a thorn in Volkov's path would first play chess with him. Today, the man his soldiers had brought wasn't playing well, so Volkov shot him straight away. His special right-hand man's name is Gornitz, who informed him that a man had jumped from a plane today. Volkov immediately ordered his men to find him as soon as possible. In the morning, Jake reached another part of the city. The people there were living in poverty and were very afraid of Volkov. Jake picked up some old clothes from behind a car and hid his good clothes there. Nearby, soldiers were gathering everyone and explaining the rules. They said breaking curfew would result in severe punishment. Then, to maintain fear among the people, they publicly executed 2 dissidents. When Jake tried to leave from there, the soldiers surrounded him and said, "Throw the bag down." Jake cleverly threw the bag at a man's face, and quickly a fight broke out. He trapped one soldier's hand in a car door and then smashed another's head on the side view mirror. One soldier attacked with a knife, but Jake grabbed his hand and killed him with the same knife. Within seconds, everyone was down and Jake was ready to leave. Another soldier sneaked out and prepared to shoot Jake, but before he could fire, a girl slit his throat. This girl's name is Drea. She works for August and will now help Jake. She said, "Ever since you landed, I've been watching you, but I wanted to see if you could handle yourself or not. If you were some useless guy, I'd have let you die because things are going to get very dangerous ahead." Jake and Drea both started moving quickly, hiding their way out of the city. They were blending into the crowd, hiding and moving, but a general still spotted them. Jake and Drea entered a church where they met Father Samson. He has an important map that some recently deceased rebels had hidden. Samson took them to his garage and showed them the truck he was working on. On the map, he showed them their next destination, and in its corner, some secret codes were written. While Samson was preparing the truck, Drea treated Jake's wounds. Just then, the general and his soldiers surrounded the church and told everyone to come out. Jake and Drea ran and reached the truck, while Samson went outside to distract the general. Samson started saying he was completely alone, but the soldiers didn't believe him. Some soldiers went inside the church to search. Outside, Samson took out his gun and shot the general in the hand, after which the other soldiers immediately riddled him with bullets. Inside, the soldiers also reached the garage and were distracted seeing Jake sitting in the truck. Then Drea suddenly attacked from behind and killed them, some with a gun, some with a knife. The soldiers outside were still firing at Samson, so they didn't hear the gunshots inside. But as soon as Jake started the truck, the radio started blaring loudly and they heard the noise. On a signal, the tank started shelling the church, but Jake and Drea, just in time, broke through the garage door and drove out in the truck. The soldiers fired relentlessly, but the bullets had no effect on the truck. Now Jake drove the truck up a ramp and jumped it over the tank, and they escaped from there. But still, some of Volkov's soldiers on bikes started chasing them. Soon they reached a checkpoint where guards also started firing. But by now Jake had understood that their truck was bulletproof. So he didn't stop and jumped over the roadblock. On the next road, another car arrived with even more soldiers, so Jake had to drive into a building. The tank fired a shell at them from a distance, but its aim wasn't accurate. It hit another car which fell on the road with an explosion, causing many bikers to fall. Jake took a sharp turn and escaped the explosion. Drea said to quickly enter the tunnel, and they both got out of there as fast as possible. In the tunnel, 2 bikers were still chasing them. As soon as they came out, another tank appeared in front of them. The tank attacked ferociously, but Jake moved the truck away just in time. The chase started again, and now soldiers started surrounding them from all sides. Suddenly, Drea threw a grenade and took down the bikers, but one car was still behind them. The tank fired again, but Jake jumped the truck, and the shell hit their enemies directly. Entering a new part of the facility, another car with soldiers arrived. The tank was ready to fire again, but Jake showed speed, suddenly cut sharply, and again their enemies were injured. Now Jake and Drea had finally escaped from there. At night, they both stopped at a place to rest. Jake asked, "Why do so many people want to kill us just over a painting? Granted, it's famous, but is it that big a deal?" Drea said, "The painting is just an excuse. Actually, we have to find that vault before Volkov. It contains many weapons that the opposition can use." She also said, "I know about your dream," and she had made a small paper boat for Jake as good luck. The next day, Volkov set out in his train to find that vault. The general came and told him that there were only 2 men and they defeated his entire team. But Volkov, irritated by his failure, promptly shot him dead. Meanwhile, Jake and Drea reached an old building. "There is a vault here." Upon seeing something, Drea got scared because this area was under the control of Raths. Raths are actually some prisoners who were locked up in jail for a very long time. When they didn't get food, they started eating people, and now they eat whoever they catch. Just then, there was a fire attack near them, meaning someone was following them. They both ran inside and saw blood on the wall. The vault was open and empty. From the smell of gunpowder coming from the corner of the door, Jake understood it had been blown up recently. There was nothing inside, meaning all the things had been taken to a safe place. Outside, Raths were advancing towards them rapidly. Drea and Jake went to the second floor inside the building, where bullet shells were lying around. Jake calculated that the people here fought till the end. In the main office, they found an old cabinet, and behind it was a fake wall, inside which a notebook was hidden. But it was written in French, which Jake didn't understand. After that, Drea translated those notes into English for him and wrote down the map coordinates. But Jake was a little suspicious of those coordinates. He said, "These people were saving the treasure. They wouldn't just reveal the real location like that." Then he started trying to use the map to find the real location. Just then, Raths entered the building. Drea wanted to leave as soon as possible, but Jake said, "We can't leave before doing this." Soon he decoded the real location. The name came up, Centerhof. Drea told him that it's a famous fort and also showed him the location on the map. Meanwhile, Raths were rapidly climbing the stairs, but in the meantime, Jake and Drea got out through the window. Jake had left a grenade on the door handle of that room. As soon as the Raths opened the door, a huge explosion happened and they all were killed inside. Back in the truck, Drea phoned the rebels and said, "Meet us at Centerhof." A little later, Volkov also arrived at that place in his train. He saw tire marks of a truck on the road. Following those marks, they reached the place where Jake and Drea had located the fort. There, Gornitz found the same notebook with coordinates written inside. But Volkov was smart enough to understand that it wouldn't be this easy. He used a UV lamp to see Drea's fingerprints because if anyone finds a location on a map, they touch it. Now he understood that the real location was indeed Centerhof. A rat there was still alive, and Volkov thanked it and shot it dead. Finally, Jake and Drea reached Centerhof. Drea cut the gate lock and opened the way inside. Reaching the main building, Jake felt something strange. There was no security. Some machines were running inside, so Jake guessed it was probably happening via solar panels. Drea looked at the blueprints of the place and understood that the echoing sound was from the vault's air filtration system, meaning the vault was still sealed. Jake made a plan to go inside through the same tunnel where the air was going, but in between there was a very large fan. Drea said, "I'll find the solar panels so I can turn off the fan," and Jake started moving forward. On the topmost floor, Jake found a rope and tied it to a valve. Then he picked up his bag and made a safety belt from it, and then tied the safety belt to the rope. Now he started slowly descending down the tunnel. Below, a fan was spinning at high speed. If he hit it, he'd be torn to shreds. He was doing this very carefully, but the rope slowly started fraying. Inside, Drea reached the solar panel area. She quickly started shooting. Her first shot missed, but the second shot damaged the entire system. Just as Jake was about to fall due to the rope breaking, the fan suddenly stopped, and somehow our hero's life was saved. Even after crashing down, Jake got up and looked at the air duct. It was filled with water. He took a deep breath and swam inside with all his strength. He reached the upper passage, but that door was closed. Jake used all his might to break it open. With great difficulty, he managed to get out safely. Now Jake was inside the vault. He opened the door from inside so Drea could also enter. Inside the vault, the Mona Lisa was found. It wasn't a real painting. It was actually a nuclear bomb with the Mona Lisa painting on it. Seeing this, Jake was completely shocked, but Drea already knew about this. She said, "Even if you had known, would it have made a difference? It wasn't necessary, so I didn't tell you." Drea explained that when America dropped the bomb on Japan, they had saved one bomb for Russia too. This is that same bomb, and August doesn't want to use it. He just wants to keep it away from dangerous people like Volkov, because if it falls into their hands, they will use it. Jake said, "No warlord is trustworthy, neither Volkov nor August." He also said there's no point fighting against Volkov. He is very powerful. In the end, he will win. Anyway, soon some rebels arrived there to help Drea. But now Jake started saying, "I have nothing to do with you all. I'm leaving. I don't want to be a part of all this." Saying this, he got into the truck and left from there. A little later, Volkov's train reached Sinjanhof and his soldiers started firing. The rebels tried very hard to save themselves, but the soldiers shot them down. Gornitz attacked with his missile and blew up the truck. Now Volkov got the key to that vault and had the bomb placed on the train. Meanwhile, Jake stopped at a place and started looking at that small paper boat Drea had given him. Looking at it, Jake's mind changed. He went back to the fort and saw dead bodies scattered everywhere, but Drea was still alive. He quickly bandaged Drea's wound. Drea said, "You were right, all this is useless. In the end, Volkov will win." But now Jake had made up his mind. He said, "That's not true. I was just running away from all this. We will stop Volkov. We'll blow up that bastard's train itself." Now both of them planted some bombs at different places. As soon as they came out, a huge explosion happened and the entire fort blew up. In the evening, the train was moving slowly due to fog. Volkov got very angry and shot the conductor dead. After that, the train started moving, cutting through the fog. Meanwhile, Jake drove the truck fast onto a bridge, and as soon as the train passed near him, he jumped onto it. He opened a door, threw a grenade inside, killing many guards. Some people survived, so Jake started fighting them with his hands and then snatched someone's gun and finished them all off. Hearing the gunshots, Gornitz arrived there. A fierce fight broke out between the two. Gornitz was also very strong. They were giving each other equal competition. Gornitz pushed Jake and he fell near the bomb. But this time, when he came to attack Jake, Jake punched him and broke his balls. In the meantime, Volkov came from behind and started shooting at Jake as soon as he saw him. But Jake cleverly used Gornitz as a shield, so the bullet hit Gornitz. Now Jake seized the opportunity and attacked Volkov. A fierce fight started between the two. Jake pierced Volkov's hand with a compass and snatched the key from him. Meanwhile, Drea reached the bridge and planted bombs around there. As soon as the train reached near the bridge, Drea blew up the bridge. At the same time, Jake also jumped from the train. Volkov was trying to stop the train, but it was too late. The train fell straight into the ravine and a tremendous explosion happened. Seeing all this, Drea was crying. She thought Jake had died. But he came from behind and said, "Why are you crying?" Drea, seeing him, hugged him out of happiness. Some time later in England, Jake gave August the key that activated the nuclear bomb and said the bomb is now lying at the bottom of the ravine. Only this key can activate it. August said, "Bring that bomb back for me." But Jake clearly refused. He clearly said, "I don't want to do any more missions," and then, as promised, took his new boat and left from there. Drea was now with him too, and both had started to love each other. They decided that now they would travel the world on this boat. In the end, August placed the key in his safe, and the real Mona Lisa painting was already present there. If you liked the video, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.